my continued draw through Falcon. We're going to go ahead and pick that back up. So we're going to set that back up, flip the camera around, and get back to that. So bear with me just a moment. Boom. So I thought we were going to get that going. Flip the camera. There we go. It's like, flip the camera around. Flip it. So we still got our Falcon. We started on just a minute ago with the last draw through. So now we're going to go through and go ahead and start shading in the stuff there. Go ahead and start building up some values. Different things like that. I'm going to go ahead and decide that my light source is probably coming from on this side. Bear with me just a little bit while we work on this. Just going to start to build my lights here. A little bit silent at the moment just because, like I said, I was trying to build the values, and I work really hard to try to make sure I get these values right, and it's not always the easiest thing in the world, but this is the version of Falcon that we got in the comics where he took up the mantle of Captain America. Steve Rogers, there was a point during the comics where he lost his soldier serum, the super soldier serum, and so when he lost that serum, there was a point where he couldn't physically continue to be Cap because he regressed to being the age in his probably late 80s, early 90s. And so he wasn't able to continue to take up the role of the mantle of Captain America. And there was a point where I believe right after it was like a bomb was going off in New York somewhere. So like Falcon went in and basically saved the city. He just flew up, with no real, what they say, no real special ability, so to speak. And went in and flew the bomb up and out basically, so that he wouldn't have to, so that the people wouldn't run the risk of suffering and dying in the city. So once he flew the bomb up and out, they figured, well, he has the fortitude needed in order to be the guy to take up the mantle of Captain America. And then of course there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened after that, to where that wasn't something that, Marvel, it was funny because it seemed like when they started doing it, they did this thing where they were like, okay, we're going to set up the fact that he's that he's the new Captain America. And then there was a point where it really felt like that a lot of people were very much against him being Captain America in the comics, especially. They were like, well, not my Cap type thing. They did this whole deal because they were basically saying they didn't want him to be the Captain America because he was black. They didn't feel like he was the right guy for the job. And so there were all these different groups and stuff that came out basically trying to come against Captain America. Then you kind of find out that when they did the whole Hydra Cap thing, you realize that a lot of that was his plan, was to basically discredit Falcon so that Falcon wouldn't be able to be in the mantle anymore. So, I can't say I like that a whole lot just because of the way they did it. But overall, it's not the worst thing they could have done, but I definitely think they could have played the character a lot better. I really wish they had given him more of a chance. So I think that would have been really cool to see what he would have done with the mantle of the role. Of course, now in the comics, he's back to just being Falcon. And so that creates its own set of issues. because he's kind of gone back to that sidekicky role, even though he's not really working with Cap anymore. You know, of course, I think they're doing kind of this redemption tour with Cap, because after the whole Hydra thing, people don't trust him anymore. Which I don't blame him, because, you know, if Cap existed and, you know, he became a fascist, it'd be very hard for me to support him as a person. I don't know that I trust him, so that's kind of what Marvel's doing now. Is Marvel's basically going back and saying, okay, so now that we've done this to the character, we got to kind of come back and try to give the world a reason to trust the character again. So I don't think that's a bad idea, because I think if that happened in real life, I think that's what we would expect. You know, as citizens of this great country, I believe that, you know, we would want to know why. You know, we'd want to try to find a reason for that. We want to see what it would take to come back to square one, so to speak. So, just a little bit of shadow under the hair. Okay, if you're talking about the back, like back here, like what's that back there? That's actually my rendition of the shield, because there was a point where when he was Captain America, he also had the shield of Cap. And so, that's what I kind of put there as the shield itself. So, there. There's some shading on the side. I'm going to probably come around that mask too, a little bit. Pop it out just a little bit more. Because I don't want to do much to this side. I want to just have enough there just to kind of come in and make sure it's the right one. No, it's not the right marker. Make sure I got the right one. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. A little bit of shadow here, not much, because again, I want my light source to come from this side of the deal there. I get just a little bit of shadow in the ear. Again, not much, because you want your light source to kind of come through. I don't want to go over too far with it. And go ahead and do my shading here. Build up that neckline. People keep saying, you know, well, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do that? So I'm going to take a little bit more time and go ahead and go over how I do it, instead of just being like, oh, here's a picture, bam, you know, that type of thing. So I was kind of working on trying to make sure I do this. If I have to break it up a little bit, I do. That way I'm not on a video for like 25 or 30 minutes doing one video. So people want to kind of see the progress, they can come back for the second video. That's my mindset on it, at least. I hope they'll do it, you know. Can't ask for more than that. Build that shadow up. Oh, we want it to be a lot darker over here on this side than we would the other side. Since this is going to be our area, it's not going to have as much light on it, shining on it per se. Of course, the shield's going to cover so much of that. And let's see what I should do to fill in. I'm going to try this one. Need to go ahead and at least fill in the star and such. Right, there we go. Oh yeah, that's it. That's the one. So fill that in. Get that going. Okay. I'm sorry I'm not talking a whole lot during this. I'm just really working on trying to get the finer details going on this to make sure I get it all in there the way I want it. So, if you have any questions or thoughts, go ahead and comment them down below, and we'll definitely get in there and deal with that. I think we were talking about earlier about the Marvel movies. I'd love to see how Infinity War kind of looks at Falcon. I know there's a point where Falcon ends up showing up during the no, cool. That's okay. If you need to jump to another video, that's fine. I understand that, but thank you for the. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you think it's cool. So if you gotta check out something else, that's fine. I understand it. It's a lot to ask somebody to spend a whole lot of time with you on a Saturday morning, so I greatly appreciate it. Jumping in like that. Come in and fill in the bottom part of the star. He's wearing his costume's just a little bit different from Cap's because, like I said, it felt like when they did it in the comics, it felt like they kind of took the Falcon costume and just said, we're going to put a star on it and change up the outfit a bit. So I don't know that particular design had been done prior to his, so I thought it was cool. It made him look a little bit more unique. They did have him flying around with the wings. I don't know that I think they could have done that without all that myself. I think they could have just had him be a grounded hero. Because again, the moment you put the wings on, it feels like they just took it's like what would happen when, it's like one of the cool things about like Nightwing, for example, in the comics, Nightwing was, the original Robin. And so when he became Nightwing, his suit was very different from the Robin suit, and so, it had, I think that's a neat thing when the sidekick kind of grows up to become his own hero. You need to have a costume that says that I'm not that person anymore. And so I think with Falcon, I kind of felt like when they did Falcon, they just kind of, were like, hey, let's just modify this costume that he already has and make it look like this. So let's erase the pencil. Let's see some stuff pop here. Okay, and there we go. We have Falcon. Falcon caps, I'll kind of pull that up a little bit so that way you can see the whole thing there. I see the top at least. And there we go. we've got Falcon drawn and inked in. Like I said, I wanted to leave a lot more white on this side. His costume is white as well, so that's another reason I want to leave those highlights. Because if I decide to go in and color it in later, then I want to be able to leave the whites out there so it pops out a little bit more. But anyway, so that's the basic picture that I'm working on. Or worked on up to this point, and it's finished at this point. Like I said, the first I'll probably do is I may go in Photoshop and color it, and just finish it up that way to go ahead and get the other red, whites, and blues in there, because his costume is a lot of white with the blues and the reds kind of mixed in on it. So that's the costume we got. So anyway, thank y'all so much for jumping in. For those who watch, I greatly appreciate it. And, comment down below in the comments, and I'll make sure to get back to you on it. So, thanks a lot. I've got to take a shower, get dressed, because I've got some stuff to do later on. And then we'll get on, before I leave, we'll go ahead and get on and do the Carnage video as well. So, 3 drawing videos in one day. How in the world can you do it? I don't know. But I'm thankful to be able to. Anyway, guys, take care. Love you as always. I have a story to tell. I hope my story inspires you to tell yours. And more importantly, be blessed and be a blessing to somebody, guys. Take care. And until next time.